Hammond calls my bill, the one that is intended to regulate cement prices. We understand from proceedings last week that he's been asked to do the pre-laying. Is this something before your committee?
Well, I know that it was being discussed with some members of the Trade Committee and the subsidiary legislation chaired by Honorable Ayeni. What is basically going on, I don't really understand, what this minister is trying to do. I mean, since he came into office, he's been coming up with some confused ideas as to, or policies, as to how to manage that ministry. I mean, it's really senseless that, a minister in a liberalized free market, economy would be suggesting that we should have price controls. I mean, it's not just about having price controls on cement, but it will have a ripple effect on pretty much everything. I mean, are you going to have a price control on tomatoes? Because tomato prices have been going up, exponentially. It just doesn't make sense. He seems to take a knee-jerk reaction. Obviously, he doesn't understand, the trade minister. I know he's a lawyer, but he doesn't understand anything about trade or industry. Otherwise, he will not be coming up with diabolical policies that he wants, as to well, everybody knows cement prices have been going up. And of course, when cement prices continue to go up, it affects, buildings, and obviously affects being able to rent or buy an affordable homes and all that. It affects the economy and all that. But that is really not the way to go. You've got to tackle the problem from its source. I mean, why are cement prices high? Cement prices are high for, a couple of reasons. And one of them being the exchange rate. Because the inputs of producing cement, about 80% of the input of producing cement are actually, imported. The clinker and all that are all imported, which means that you need dollars to be able to do that. If your currency is not stable and your city is appreciating against the dollar, then obviously your input cost for cement will go up. And therefore the manufacturer will pass it on, to the consumer. Now, to suggest that these people are making some astronomical profit, and for that reason you are they are ripping up the nation and all that, there's no evidence to that. I mean, there may be a few of them doing that. I will not, probably, dispute that. But it is not something that is widespread that you can say categorically clear that some cement manufacturers are getting, charging exorbitant, prices to make profit. Most of the price build-up, which is their cost, is what is making the price of cement, goes up. Now, you think of when the issues about taxes that the government can control. If government thinks that if there are too many taxes on the product, then obviously they are going to pass it on again to the consumer. Is there something that government can do about these taxes? I also understand that there is only one bed or one area at the port where these things are cleared, and usually there's a traffic there, which means that things are kept there longer than they should, which attracts demurrage charges and all that, which again will make the cost of producing the cement goes up. Now think about it. Look at the price of cement for the last 10 years. You will actually realize that the price of cement has not really gone up in dollar terms, but it has gone up in cedi terms astronomically. Cement has gone up. If you look at it in dollar, the price of cement in 10 years ago, and then you work against obviously with a dollar, you will realize that the price of cement 10 years ago is almost the same price of cement today, which tells you clearly that what is causing cement prices to go up that astronomically and making it unbearable for people to be able to buy the cement to do this is purely because of the exchange rate. The depreciation of the cedi and the appreciation of the dollar is a major part of the problem. And then, of course, the taxes I've talked about and all that. I mean, clinker, which is the main ingredient for making cement, it's mostly brought from outside. And these are paid in dollars. So if you don't address this issue, it's not about just, the type of things that he's trying to do. Everything he's going to the law and try and use the law to create certain artificial, things that he should not be doing. And I don't even know why we should even be listening to him.
We're listening to him because he's the Minister for Trade, and it's an industry. It is
I
his
have
job.
No clue what he's doing, and I hope that within the next 5 or 6 months, he will be out of that place, so that we can get some competent person to go there and really do things that will grow the economy, create jobs, and build our manufacturing base. This minister definitely hasn't got a clue.
You're talking about somebody who has been in parliament for many, many years, was a deputy minister under former President Kufuor, so should have an idea what the job of a minister is. You're saying he hasn't got a clue what he's doing?
Well, there are different sectors of the economy and different ministries. Yes, he may have been a deputy minister of energy. I don't know how many years he's been in parliament, probably longer than I have. It does not necessarily give him a clue as to how to manage the trade and industry ministry.
I see. So I'm done. I'm now. So after the pre-laying, because now he says now that he's failed to reach an agreement with to have a conversation with the cement manufacturers, he's coming back.
Well, he obviously will fail, wouldn't he? He will fail because he hasn't got a clue, and he's having the wrong discussions with the stakeholders, as to what he's proposing, which is unworkable. As I told you, we operate a free market, economy. You cannot be proposing things that are going to be counterproductive to the system that we are operating. This is the same guy who came with basically wanted to put some ban on some imported, goods into the country, and it failed. And then he's gone for this, which will also eventually fail. Cement prices are high, and there should be deliberate policies to bring them down. That's what we should be looking at, not trying to say that people are making profit, and therefore I'm going to, force them to sell things at a certain price. I mean, if the cost keeps going up, they cannot sell below their costs. I mean, that is simple, business that everyone must understand. You will not be producing to sell less than your costs. So we've got to look at what is actually causing this price increases in cement. And as I've told you, it's purely as a result of, if you take a simple graph and you look at the dollar price of cement against the cedi price of cement in the last 10 years, you will see that the dollar price is almost a straight line. And you will see that the cedi graph is almost exponential. That clearly tells you that the issue about cement is not about somebody artificially increasing the price of it, but exchange rate played a significant role. Then you come to taxes, which government has imposed taxes on almost everything in this country, and taxing the same people who have been paying tax over and over. That is not working, and that needs to be looked at. The issue of demurrage and all that are the port issues also need to be looked at. As I said, 80%, if not more, of the things of the inputs into cement production comes from outside. You need to bring this in by paying dollars to get them in. If your exchange rate is not working, then obviously you're going to have the same problem with having very high import costs, and that should translate into your price. And that's basically what is happening. This is common sense, basically. It's not even scientific. in any way, and you just get up and say, as a result of that, I'm going to impose restrictions on price and all that. I mean, so many other things. I mean, are you going to sell cement the same price in Tamale as you sell in Cape Coast? Because somebody will have to even transport that cement into Tamale, and that will also, attract some cost. I've heard people talking about doing it the same way as, petroleum is done. I mean, you want to look at petroleum and understand it. Of course, you worked in the Ministry of Energy, looked at how the petroleum price build-up was done, and see if it is the same thing as we are looking at. Yes, they all suffer from dollar CD depreciation against the dollar. But there are so many other components that goes into it that you need to look at before you can draw such conclusions as he has come to. And, he's trying to push this and not talking to the people who basically understand this to educate him, to help him run the ministry, successfully. I mean, that ministry has been stagnant since he got in there. There's nothing really happening, that is helping, businesses build up and create jobs and what have you. And I'm extremely disappointed. I mean, having been a former Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, I'm really disappointed about the policy, that he's trying to fashion out, in that ministry. That obviously is not going to help this ailing economy.
Before I let you go, just one thing, because yesterday the press conference between the Minister for Finance, the IMF, it came on, and a few things the minister has been saying. First, he said, in fact, this is the Daily Graphic. He said, while the government appreciated constructive criticisms, comments that talked down on the economy were not in the best interest of anybody. Using the recent decline of the local currency as an example, Dr. Amin Adam said the city struggles could be partly blamed on negative comments and speculation from some sections of the public. Let me jump many paragraphs and come to where he says, Dr. Adam says key measures being pursued to deal with recent depreciation included maintaining a tight monetary policy, deepening the ongoing fiscal consolidation program, intensifying the gold for oil and the Bank of Ghana's gold for reserves program, and the anticipated foreign exchange disbursement inflows from multilateral, bilateral institutions and private sector financial institutions. First of all, do you agree that what you say not only as a member of parliament and also somebody who has knowledge in the sector has an impact on the CD? And do you think the measures he just announced would help at least stabilize the city?
Thank you, Senator. I mean, I don't know how you can talk an economy that is already down. I mean, the economy is already, has already bellied up. It's on his stomach, lying down. How can you talk it down? And then precisely for being knowledgeable, in the field as you have credited me with, is the reason why some of us are talking about the problems, in this economy and the way things are not going well. Because, the economic and finance area can be technical. And even some people, even literate people, educated people, are sometimes not even interested, in numbers and other things. So people kind of switch off. So it is important for the very few who are interested, who understand what is going on, to be able to speak up and challenge this government and the central bank as to what is not going well in this economy, and not to just tell us and brush it under the carpet, thinking that when we leave the carpet, that debt will go away. Things are not going well in this country, and the more we talk about it, the more I expect the government to sit up and try and do things rather than getting excited about mediocre achievement. When they go and renegotiate debt, they want to be celebrated. I mean, you go and renegotiate debt that you have caused in accumulating. You must come to Ghanaians and apologize to them for putting us in this stress and telling us that you are doing things to maybe correct it. You don't come and celebrate that you have done a successful debt negotiation. What is the success about this debt negotiation? And you have made some savings. How can you make savings for money you haven't got in the first place? You stop paying your debts because you were a bankrupt nation. You stop. That's the reason why you stop paying your debt. If you stop paying your debt, you default on your debt. You are basically saying that you are bankrupt and you cannot pay your debt. We have not been paying our debt since 2022. Yet we are talking about economic growth of 5% and 4.7% and all that. Factor in paying your debt, and you realize whether you get a growth of, a growth of 4 point whatever percent that you are talking about. Even with that, a lot of indicators were negative. Now, come to talk about the debt restructure, and you are talking about having made savings. What save? First of all, we have just agreed a negotiation, in principle. We have not finished the transaction yet. Both negotiations with the bilateral and the commercial creditors, the Eurobond, are both agreement in principle. The bilateral one, which we have done with the official, creditor committee, they are now going, the member countries are now going to look at, the terms of the agreement and see whether they can work with it. But they have agreed in principle for certain things like the IMF money and things to be released. The same with the commercial creditor, community. They have agreed in principle. Even before them, we have two options. We have not even finalized which option we are going to go for yet, but they have agreed in principle that the two options could both be workable, whichever line we choose to go. We have before them the car, type of option, and we have before them what they call the disco or the discounted option. We have not even decided which one we are going for. We're already talking about the gains we have made and all that. We have not made any gains. And let me, again, I always try to use an example. I owe you. And then I have decided I could not pay your debt anymore. So you say, okay, I'm going to try and do something for you so that you will be able to, I'm going to reduce your debt repayment for you so that you don't pay the same amount of debt that you were paying before. Now, if they do that, in theory, economics and finance people will tell you that you have made savings. That's an opportunity cost. The money that you would have otherwise used in paying those debts, you could use that money in doing something different. That is the savings we are talking about. In the case of Ghana, and in the practical science, we don't have that savings because we are defaulted. The money is not there to divert it, even to do something different. We were paying our debt with more debt. We were borrowing basically to service our debt. So by us stopping to pay our debt means that we stop the borrowing which we were using in paying our debt. So even if your creditor decide to reduce your debt payment for you, you have no savings. Your creditor has just stopped you from further borrowing to compound your situation. You have no savings that you are going to say that now you are going to divert this savings into building roads or building hospitals. Unless, of course, they are trying to tell us that they are going to use, they are going to borrow more. And the more borrowing which they would have used to finance, what is it called, the debt, they are now going to use that borrowing to build hospitals. Would that be savings? That's just more debt to build hospitals that we probably need, yes. Good idea. To build roads that we probably need, yes. But don't tell me it's savings. Because you are going to pay that money back because it's borrowed money. I mean, I don't know what they are talking about.
I wanted you to do an assessment of whether the things that they are doing, to tackle the recent depreciation, says maintaining a tight monetary policy, deepening the ongoing fiscal consolidation program, intensifying the gold for oil and the Bank of Ghana's gold for reserves programs, and the anticipated foreign exchange disbursement inflows from multilateral, bilateral institutions and private sector financial institutions. Will those work?
Well, they've talked about this over and over and over, and they've done none of it. They've done none of it. What does fiscal consolidation mean? Fiscal consolidation means that you are going to rationalize your expenditure and enhance your revenue. Is that what they are doing? We are telling them to cut their expenditure, and they are not doing it. So how do you rationalize your expenditure if you don't want to cut certain wasteful expenditure? You know, they talk about increasing the revenue, but the revenue they are increasing through taxes is counterproductive. They are taxing the same people over and over and over. When you tax the same people over and over, it becomes counterproductive. People stop paying their taxes, and you are not going to get the revenue. That's what is happening with the e-levy and everything. So is that fiscal consolidation, or are they going to do a different fiscal consolidation? Now, what else are they talking about in terms of propping up the city? I mean, in terms of the city, they're just waiting for borrowed money. The IMF bring 360, we put it in there, and then they start celebrating. They wouldn't even allow the money to cool at the Bank of Ghana, and they start celebrating it, talking about how they watch the city. I mean, here the finance minister getting overexcited. Watch the city in the next couple of days and see what is going to happen. Are we to watch the city just over the next couple of days, or are we looking at the long term, strengthening of the city? So the 360 get finished, and then what next? We wait for what the World Bank will bring us, which is also going to be borrowed money. We wait on what else? What are we doing in terms of growing our own export revenue to earn money that is ours, to put into our own reserve, rather than always relying on borrowed money to fund everything that we are doing, including even our currency? So which of the policies are they talking about that they are going to do and do it any different? The ones they are supposed to do that, they talk about fiscal consolidation. I don't know if they know what they're talking about when they talk about fiscal consolidation. And I've just explained to you, fiscal consolidation in simple English is for you to rationalize your expenditure and enhance your revenue so you can reduce your deficit by bridging the gap. So you don't have to go out there and borrow more money to fund your deficit. That's not what they are doing. They are still expanding their expenditure. They are still, have more ministers that they need. They are still appointing deputy CEOs and deputy for this, deputy for that, apart from the main. And these are all drawing on the national purse. Is that the rational? What is it called? The fiscal consolidation they are talking about, or is there a different definition of a fiscal consolidation this government is pursuing? So some of us are tired with these guys, and what it's been a monumental failure. Not because I'm in the NDC, because whatever happens to Ghanaians. And please, those of us who understand these things should be listened to, and not just say that they are talking the country down. How can you talk something that is already down? That thing is down. How can you talk it down? Our ratings are junk status. So how down can you talk these things? People should wake up and do what is right for this country. I mean, this 360 that has come, you would think, oh, this is good money. And it's good news that we have got the money. But my worry is not about getting the money. It's about what this money is going to be used for. This money is going to end up on the people's bed and people's bank account. Reckless, lavish expenditure and putting some money away for elections and all that. So 360, if used well, as the IMF are predicting, and as other, players or partners are predicting, if we are to be using the influence that is coming the way it should be used, Ghana will get out of the situation that we are in. But no, that's not going to happen. So it's even a waste of time going to do all these negotiations and all that, and get what they are calling savings and fresh money and all that. If at the end of the day, the money is going to end up being wasted, we are still going to be in the same situation that we are in, with high level of unemployment, with everything, fuel prices, food prices, everything, cement prices, everything going up. The cost of living is going to continue to be high, yet a lot of money has come down this drain called Ghana. Ghana has become a drain where something is poured in and it goes out. That's what we are. a drain nation.
Mm.
Like a drainage. Whatever you pour in it doesn't stay in it. It gets washed out. That's the country that we are. So it doesn't matter when all these monies are coming in, IMF over. We did not even qualify for the program in the first place.
Mm.
That was just a humanitarian thing that they did for us because of our position in the sub-region. Respected country with the potential, and they don't want us to go the same way as our neighbors have.
No, but we have to leave it here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
My brother, my pleasure.
Thank you. Always a pleasure talking to Honorable George Ricketts Hagan, who is Member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, speaking to us this morning.